Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the party. Are you doing today's call? Am I?
You.
I thought so. You said welcome everybody. So I was like,
Oh,
okay, Stacy's doing it. She's
no,
doing
just
it.
helping you out. And we are going to be publishing the monthly calendar for you guys so you can see the topics ahead of time. So it's easier to invite people. So we'll be doing that in the Facebook group. So look for that just like before. And that way you can plan ahead on attending and inviting to the ones you want to.
Awesome. Awesome. We're gonna do some positive focus. Not a lot of cats in here. Eric, the pressure, Kevin and Eric, the pressure's on. And Jennifer, you got to get off your phone and pay attention to this call over there. John's pointing the call at you. You guys are making me
Probably like,
dizzy. Keep it in one spot over there. All right, Jenny
uh,
Mikesh is also in here. All right, so let's do some wins. Just unmute yourself, Kevin and Eric, and share the best win last 7 days. And Stacy and John and Jen have to share as well. Let's do this. One business, one personal. So one business win last 7 days, one personal win, big or small. Kevin, you're first.
I had a potential client, had a client who called me. I don't even know how they found out about me. I believe that they themselves mixed up thinking that my wife was a real estate agent and she's a loan officer. So they called me thinking that I was a loan officer or she was a real estate agent. So we figured it out. So it was kind of interesting. So we went and looked at some condos here, and yep, we'll be writing up an offer here today. That was the business thing. And the personal thing, the weekend was really awesome. My wife and I went and drove through Shenandoah area, Shenandoah Valley, and had a really awesome, beautiful weekend.
Awesome. 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 What do you got, Eric?
I got one under contract yesterday, so that's the business win.
What was the listing buyer lead source? Give us some deets.
It was buyer. I have a buddy in new construction, so I help him out with his subdivision from time to time. So I was able to convert that one into a new build.
Awesome. What about personal?
Hey, just happy and healthy.
Happy and healthy, no specifics. All right. What do you got, Peterson?
All right, let's see. Business. I've been posting more on social media. I use coffee and contracts and I love it. I think it is so easy. So that's been fun. And I've been getting people responding like, hey, good content. I'm like, thank you. I thought of it all by myself. And personal, it was my birthday and I got a whole bunch of messages and love. And so it was a great day and weekend.
Yeah, Julie was pissed off at me because I usually we sing to you together and she has such a bad voice apparently that she didn't want to do it alone. So she's like, "Man, you weren't supposed to do it without me." I'm like, well, I didn't want to forget. I almost
Then
did
I
it the day
got two.
before.
It was perfect.
Yeah, two is better than one. All right, Jen and John, what do you guys got?
Hold on, I gotta unmute myself. We passed our real estate test last week, so
Wow,
we are
you guys are
officially
officially real estate
licensed.
agents. That's really good after 20
We're
years in the business.
multi-state, multi-state.
Oh, you're going global. You're going to go all 50 states?
Yep, all 50. I can't wait to sell in Jersey.
Hey,
Um,
Jersey's not so bad.
So who, who
yeah,
is
so
gonna
that
be
was
who is gonna be recruiting you guys?
uh I think we're already recruited,
Co-sponsor.
but co-sponsor is an option, I guess. Oh no, that was good. And then personal, you want to take it, Jen?
Yeah, we went over to Paradise for the weekend and did some work around the house, and it was just a perfect weekend. Like, weather was great, sunny, 60s, and a little light breeze.
Awesome.
It was a nice weekend.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's what we got.
All right, let's get into it. We've got a couple stragglers here. All right, so today I'm going to do my best to have everyone leave today with your own set of daily non-negotiables. What I've realized, as much as I want it not to be this way, and guys have tried every way to do anything in my personal life or my professional life without doing what I'm going to share with you today, and none of it has worked. And so the only thing I figured out is that if you want anything to be different in the future, you have to do things consistently to get there. Like I have tried all the grand gestures. I've tried like all the hacks and the like pay money for this thing, and it's just everything's going to be better. And I continue to do it and fail every day trying to do those things. So this concept of just wanting to have an easy button in anything, think of anything where you've just wanted that thing to get better and you just put a little money at it or whatever, or go to like a single day mastermind and think that it doesn't. So we have to leave those things and just decide for ourselves what we're going to do on the daily. So, and we're going to break it down into 3 buckets here. We're going to break it down into your production business, your attraction business, what you can commit to daily, and then also personal, what you can commit to daily. And I'm going to show you what we have our new members on the production side commit to. I think it'll be helpful for you guys to see that. And I'll drop a copy of this so you can grab it. This document I'm going to share, I think everyone needs to have a version of this in whatever version it looks like for you. So let me go to the chat. And well, that was quick, John. You're like already at home there. Let me unlink this and then I'm going to, all right, copy. All right, I need someone to, all right, link. Oh, you can like do it in a, oh, there you go. All right, I just posted a little link. It literally says just link. So Stacy, click on that and does it pull up something to make a copy?
Yep.
All right. So this is going to be the backdrop to the conversation, but then we're going to go, since it's such a small group, I want us to really share what we're going to thinking about or commit to or whatever in those 3 buckets. Production business, your rev share business, and I'm going to play along with all this and your personal. Oh, I feel like I could preach on this topic forever on all the mistakes I continue to make in all of this, but I'll spare some of that. So let me share my screen, and we'll kind of use the production business as an example, and then we will. I want you guys to kind of play along, but then also share where you fall down and where you might have gotten burned and where you might have kind of gone off track and sort of not done this. So this is. All right, let me back up. I think the reason I've been marginally successful in most of the things I've set out to kind of achieve in is because I've broken it down. Um, I always do a pretty good job of like seeing the future. So 3-year vision. So in your production, we're not going to do it today, a 3-year vision, a 1-year plan. But this thing right here is what I call a 90-day cycle. So every 90 days is feeding into a year that's feeding into a 3-year vision. Um, Without the 3-year vision, something that's like emotionally charged, something that is either you're trying to get out of some pain or you're being attracted to some sort of like exciting future, I believe the daily stuff is really hard to do. Like, who wants to call buyers and sellers? Right? I don't know anyone that naturally wants to do that, but I was able to do that when I didn't feel like it because I was going to create this lifestyle for my family that we never knew was possible. And I had that all written down and I reminded myself multiple times per day to do that. So if you haven't done a 3-year vision in these different areas, make sure you do it in your finances, with your marriage, with your children, with your physical body, for sure with your production business. And also I would recommend your attraction business as well. What's the expression? We tend to overestimate what we could do in a year and underestimate what we can do in like 3, 5, 7, 10 years. And then we kind of just go on this cycle. where we just make bad decisions because we're so trying to get after it. I'm going to tell a quick story that might give a little bit, maybe you guys can relate to it. I had well, the funny part of the story is let me stop my share. You guys will get a kick out of this. So I've got a coaching company, and this we're trying to pitch our services to this guy. Let's call him Jake. Um, and this was what I had a salesperson that was trying to convert him into a $10,000. We've restructured it, but $10,000 for 90 days. And his conclusion was that Lars was a scammer. Like he literally told my sales guy, Lars is an internet scammer. I went through his social accounts and I can tell that he has bots following him. And so what does Lars do? Lars picks up the phone and calls this guy. And I actually shot, like Stacy would have, you would have died. I shot a screen share video that he never watched, where I like traced back the lineage of all my entities that I owned and the HPREA link and he's like, well, I can't see that you sell any homes currently. It's like, okay, well, he never even watched it. But then I meet with him. I call him and I'm like, okay, you're an hour and a half away. Why don't you come to Charlotte and we'll get together, and we'll actually meet up. And we did. And that was on Friday. And turns out that he suffers from wanting so badly to be in 3 years. I asked him his 3-year vision as we were having breakfast. He said that and this is before we got deep into his current situation. He read the book Cash Flow Quadrant, and he wants to be 100% in the I bucket. So that's like, you're self-employed, and then you're employed, then you're self-employed, then you're whatever the quadrants are. The coolest one to be in, where all your money is making you money and you can just lay on the beach. So he essentially told me he wants to be laying on the beach and having like 30 to 40,000 passive coming in 3 years. I said, okay, I mean, I'd like to do that. I don't even feel like I'm there yet. So then we begin to unpack his current situation, and he is, from what I could surmise, at least 150,000 in debt. All his credit cards are maxed. He hasn't paid taxes since 2022. He's being sued. They went independent, went away from EXP, and they went independent. He's being sued for E&O, and they didn't have insurance. They didn't have E&O. So that's $50,000. And what he's been doing, and he's 27 years old, and he's been at this since he was 18. And what I figured out is that because he's so desperately trying to skip the steps, he is like time after time after time, he's like throwing money at things that he then deems are a scam because they couldn't get him this unrealistic outcome. And man, was it profound in a couple ways. First of all, that nobody trusts anybody anymore, but usually because they've just been hurt in so many ways. Like every real estate agent has been hurt. So as far as attraction goes, make sure that you know that they think everything has been promised to them and nothing works. So you sort of have to meet them in that lack of trust and be able to build a relationship around it. So he's just been like throwing money at things, and $10,000 at this, and he charged this to this. He tried to do a flip where he had an investor and he owes that guy 32 grand because it didn't work. So instead of committing, and it took me a full hour once I figured out his actual situation, an hour easily, and this is like a 2.5 hour, 2 to 2.5 hour breakfast. Took me that long to get him to realize that he's got to commit to daily. Like, what can you do today? Because he's just wanting to, like, even he's just still saying that, he wants to figure out wholesaling. And I know that he knows this guy that used the Burr method. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and he's got 3 kids that he's completely neglecting in the process. So it's just a complete shit show. And it's a shit show because nobody came alongside him early enough in his journey to just say, hey, listen, if you like build your database a little bit every day, or if you just spend a little bit of time on social media adding value every day, or if you just honor the first part of your day no matter what, if you just like whatever, you know, the best time to have done it would have been 18 if I could have met you then and encouraged you to do these things. But the next best time is now. And so I think all of us can relate to some part of that. For me, it's just most recently in the coaching business, just getting like caught up in this, like, well, if somebody else can do 1 million a month, I can do 1 million a month. And then going down this path of paying a lot of money for coaching and ads and like all this stuff. Like it's going to be easy, and nothing's easy. Nothing comes like super easy or super quick. So anyway, hopefully that's like a helpful backdrop to all of this. That's kind of what inspires me to keep, what was the expression, Stacy, back in the day? Like to an industry that is looking for like cheeseburgers and French fries and rock concerts, the stuff that actually works is like lean proteins and like green juice and going to the gym every morning. So I and you guys may already know this, but I say this because if you're at EXP, there are agents that are struggling and they just need someone to come alongside them and encourage them on the daily. And I've been texting this guy every day, sending him scripture, and it absolutely breaks my heart that he's been just like, and he just texted me this morning. He's like, I've never had a mentor before, and that makes me emotional. Comes from a broken home and just a very jacked up story. But every agent is struggling right now, at least 99.9% of them. So if you lined up 1,000 agents, there's one agent that's probably crushing it, maybe two or three out of 1,000. So in your attraction business or maybe your own production business, the chances are that you might be struggling because you haven't done these things daily that we know we need to do that are the right things to do. And it's this like, what's a good analogy? Like if you need to have a closing today, like if you need a freaking closing today, it would have been good to do these things 90 days ago, but you can't go back in time. So I think it comes from that. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Um, it comes, I think it comes down to that. It's like, I need a closing right now. So I can't do your stupid daily non-negotiables. Like I can't work out today because I need a closing. I can't, build my database because I need a closing. I got to pay for a lead. I got to whatever. What are your thoughts on this? Anyone have any thoughts on it? Personal thoughts, or you've seen this in other agents?
Well,
Jennifer just looks
you need
confused.
a closing today. It's like you're not going to get a closing today. So stop focusing on things that are not going to happen or can't happen and start focusing on the things that are going to make your future better.
Yeah. What do you got, Stacy?
I just had this conversation with our local team. That's where I was driving from. And it was this concept of need versus want. Like, yeah, we all want to make $1 million a year in real estate, but we need to make 45,000, and therefore we meet our needs. And like, if we want to have a better life, we need to change the bar of what we need to happen. And I think too many people don't do the work around thinking through what has to be a need for them instead of a want. And then when you need to do something and it's like, it's not just a wish, you'll start to figure out what needs to happen daily in order to get that result that you need. But we don't do that. We just want, and therefore we don't do.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to collect like things that you want to do. And then when it comes down to it, you end up not doing anything because you're almost so confused on what the next steps are. So having something daily that no matter what your goals are, help you personally, I think is such a great, like, it's not a concept, like something to commit to. Like if you're looking for the thing to commit to, which is myself included. Like I was just looking at, okay, what do I want to accomplish Q3? And my list is like ridiculously long, and probably most of it doesn't truly matter. So coming up with those things that are important to your goals, I think are, and doing it daily is such a good idea.
Yeah, that one thing I can relate to the one thing that you like, what is actually going to move the needle for you when it comes to if your most important thing is to close a couple homes per month, what are the activities that are actually going to move the needle on that? And you have agents that are being tempted or sold into like, let's take YouTube, for example. Does YouTube work? Does YouTube work? Raise your hand if it works. Like it for sure works. Is YouTube going to work for every agent to get them a closing even in 2025? No, but you've got a ton of agents that are like, they're good, the long form, the short form, omnipresent, and they're spinning out doing that. And I've done it in the coaching business too. They're doing that because they don't want to pick up the phone or they don't want to have a conversation with somebody. I made 3 calls before this meeting for people that had a call with us in the coaching business, and 2 of them are going to move forward, but only because I called them. Like I had someone on my team text them and like, we did this and like, this is great and you should do this. And then like a call from me is the thing that's going to motivate them to, so it's just that there is no getting out of whatever you commit to the things, the meaningful conversations. That has to be how you guard your time and whatever you're looking to accomplish. Let me share my screen. And like I said, it doesn't have to be these things. This is how we teach agents when they come into our world. When it comes to getting to your production goals, I have a belief that every lead gen lever, so database is a lead gen lever, social media is a lead gen lever, expired direct mail is a lead gen lever, open houses are a lead gen lever. I believe that each lead gen lever could get you multiple transactions per month if you own it and you just make it yours. Like if all you could do was generate business from open houses and you had to sell 4, a home a week, would you figure out how to do that? Like I could put Stacy in a new market. If Stacy had to sell real estate in Charlotte and all she could do is open houses, and there's like a gazillion EXP agents, so she could easily hold listings open. I bet you if Stacy's life depended on it, she could sell 100 homes in the next 52 months with that one lead gen lever. But only if I could control Stacy's daily activities. And I said, nope, you can't do Instagram. Nope, you can't do YouTube. Nope, you can't do this. Nope, you can't do this. And focus the effort. So the backdrop to this is that you really need to commit to a limited number of lead gen levers and then do the work on those lead gen levers to get them to the point where they're producing for you. And the 2 foundational ones are database and social media. So let me go through these, and this might give you an idea. And I want everyone to commit to, like in their production business, what are your daily non-negotiables? Then we'll pivot over into attraction, and then we'll maybe even have time for some personal ones as well here. So this is just what we have them commit to. So they just put in the first day of their 90-day cycle. And usually this is on a Monday. It's not on. So let's say this was your first week. So you just fill in that one number and then it just highlights the day. Whatever you commit to is just in these little time blocks, and you're just saying a check if you did it or didn't do it. So is your calendar time blocked, and did you honor those time blocks? So if you want to achieve something in attraction or production, I highly recommend that those activities are time blocked. Most importantly, new business development, which is, lead generation and then lead follow-up. So did you actually honor it? And you just click it, either I did or I didn't. And then you can just visually see, if you're actually doing the thing. Daily top 3 for us, this is tasks outside of your production business. Well, related to your production business, but like you're building systems. So maybe you're working on, you have a task around getting the newsletter ready, or a task on, working on getting RedX downloaded into your CRM so you can send out direct mail to expireds or whatever. So those are just 3 things you're committing to. The most important things that are moving your business forward. Not like going on a listing, not like getting that buyer contract initial signed, but above and beyond your core production business. This is business builder activities. And then did you track your numbers today? I have not seen a top agent that is swimming in money and swimming in free time that isn't tracking their numbers. And there's even a second tab in here where you can track all your production numbers. I'm not going to go through today, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So did you track your numbers that day? And then once a week, did you have a weekly planning session? So did you conduct a weekly planning session? Usually like early Saturday morning or late Friday after your core week's over, or even like a Sunday evening. It takes like 30 to 60 minutes, but you're just answering 3 questions. What worked? What didn't work? I guess that's 2 questions. What should I start and stop doing based on this past week? And then what are my next steps? What are next steps on my most important projects, my business building projects? So that's productivity and time management. If you follow this for 90 days, you won't even recognize, your effectiveness in your business, because the chaos will begin to sort of settle and you'll have some normalcy in your life. All right, so that's kind of the first part. Then with your database, the theory I have on database is that if there's 50 people, if you work on this for a year, you could find 50 people that would refer a closing to you. And it's just a mindset. So you might need to build a database of 250 people to get 50 people to send you a piece of business or transact with you directly. But the daily activity of building your database. So this is people that like absolutely know, like, and trust you. They'd be like, oh, hey, Stacy. They would see Stacy in a supermarket and they would know Stacy. That person is in the database. So at the beginning of the quarter, you may start at 0, or you may have 57 people in your database. And then your goal every day is to add at least 1 contact to the database. And after 90 days, you'd have 90 more contacts. After 365 days, potentially you'd have 365 more. If you do this the right way and you have a touch system in place, 10% of your database will transact. John has someone in his organization, Jessica Wade. I think it was probably one of the best calls we've ever had. Runs her database out of a Google spreadsheet. And I make it sound way more simple than it is. But she sold 42 homes to either directly or via referral to the 250. And she does a weekly coffee with someone in the 250, a weekly lunch, and community events. So 6 community events where she invites. John, anything to share on her?
She's drowning in business. Those are her words the last time I talked to her a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and she's not like mega tech or AI, or she spends 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, coordinating either a community event, a coffee, or a lunch. And everyone knows in her heart is that she really loves people and she's just connecting all the time with people. How can I help you? That sort of thing. So it's not, it doesn't come off as, like you're calling with the Ford, like, oh, Stacy, how's the family? How's the occupation? Tell me about your recreation. What about dreams? Oh, by the way, do you have a referral for me? It's not that approach. We had a guy on our Monday call share he's got 600 in his database, but he gets like no business from it. And I said, it's literally a function of you adding value to them and them feeling loved by you or not. And so he was sharing with me that his first calls are going to be just to introduce himself again to the database. His second call is going to be when he asks for business. And I'm like, dude, you have it entirely wrong. Like the business is going to come to you without you having to ask for it. And that's the big disconnect on database typically there. And then your goal every week is to have a very significant touch to the database, not a canned email, not anything like that. But these are the daily non-negotiables around database. And then we've got social. So this is not necessarily generated by keeping current matters. It could be generated by like a coffee and contracts. This is a thoughtful, engageable post every day. Usually just documenting your business, your real estate business, some insanity or something funny or whatever. And also posting regularly on your Google business profile. So treating also, post on Instagram, post on Facebook, but then also post regularly on Google business profile. And the same agent, Jessica, did 10 deals from her Google business profile. Her whole business was a spreadsheet the 250 contacts, breakfasts, coffees or lunches, community events, and then 10 deals on her Google business profile. And she just fed it content like it was a social platform. And then we have a 555, which essentially just commit to daily some level of meaningful interaction with your quote unquote friends on social media. So check the box if you had 5 post likes with comments, 5 wall posts, commenting on your friends' posts, and then personally messaging people. I love the singing over Facebook Messenger to people on their birthdays. If they're local in your market, and the worse singer you are, the better. Because I think people. How many people sang to you, Stacy? Yeah, on your birthday the other day.
3.
3. So me and Julie were 2 of them. Who was the? And then
Yeah. Oh
John.
yeah. 4. I forgot one more. Joe did too. Yep.
Awesome. 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 And it's funny, right? Because I'm not. Did you hear me in the background when Julie was singing?
Yes.
I even got in on that one. Yeah, so it's also just a massive pattern interrupt. Clients of ours they do about 2 million GCI in their database. The wife, Christina, built their database when they didn't have a database by getting everyone that had a birthday on each of their Facebook accounts and messaging with them on their birthday, wishing them happy birthday, and essentially taking that conversation into their database, saying, "Hey, we publish a monthly newsletter. Is it okay if we add you to that list?" But manually, painstakingly, just adding people to their database. And now they do a couple million, like 2.5 million to the database in GCI every year. Any comments on database or digital footprint?
Yeah. Is there a newsletter service that you recommend that can kind of like templatize that approach to content?
For production or
Yeah, for production.
I think what you do, I think every agent should do what you do on the monthly. You know how much more meaningful your letter from the heart is compared to any random garbage thing you could templatize? So I mean, that's what just comes out of my just thinking about it. I mean, there are good companies like the personal marketing company TPMCO that does a good job. They've been around forever.
You think that that letter from the heart inside of a template like that with some other things would be more effective?
I mean, if I did it for real estate, I'd probably have CTAs, throughout it potentially. But as long as it's really meaningful and it's really valuable, you could have 2 a month. You can have one letter from the heart to your database or whatever you call it, and then one where it's more like it's the go-to resource for all things real estate. There's a market update in there, there's a, vendor list in there, there's whatever. I'd probably do something like that. I would split it into 2, but I don't think there's anything better. Every time I get that, I read every word of your letter from the heart.
Thanks, man.
I'm that one. How many are you sending it to?
I send that to my whole EXP database and then like another 200 people.
Yeah, so you're sending it to people in your organization, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
But
another 200 that are not in my organization.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same concept. I don't know an agent doing the letter from the heart, so this is like in real time, but I think that's more powerful. Stacy, what do you think of John's letter from the heart? Do you hate it or you love it?
Yeah, no, it's my favorite. So I
Yeah.
would agree. I think they get to know you personally. And I think because it is written instead of like this beautiful newsletter, like I have to click a link, like I don't have to do that. It's just there. I can read it. There's some pictures. I'm like, oh, love it.
Yeah. I think it's really good. I think we just came up with some groundbreaking stuff here. If anyone doesn't have the letter from the heart, where can you post it? Can you post it in Game Changers? I wonder if you could post a version of it. It probably won't come out right, but I think it's awesome. And stuff like that. I mean, to the point of your question, because I go there too. Like, what mass thing can I send out to, whatever, um, that would get them to engage or think highly of me or whatever. And I don't think any of that stuff really. And most stuff on social media isn't, very impactful, because we're all on social media trying to look better than we are. You know, it's like, okay, I get it. You know, your kids are beautiful and you went on vacation and it's like, whatever, I'm a loser. You know, even though my life is great, I'm looking at your life in real time. 1,000 people all the time traveling, you know, and living awesome lives. So I find, and I think that angle on social media, like to me, it's way more. What's the I sent it to that guy that I had breakfast with just to give him some encouragement. It was like a husband and a wife, and it was recorded on their security camera over their garage. Like you could see the husband barely getting the kids in the car, and they're yelling at each other, and he forgets something. He has to like get out of the car and then come over to the wife, and they're still bickering at each other. And then the car with the kids in it rolls down the driveway. Oh, no, it rolls down the street out of the camera lens. And the comment was just like, hope your day is going well or something. Like to me, that is way better. Like I barely got my kids out of the freaking house this morning. You know, I don't even know if they were wearing shoes. You know, they definitely didn't have lunches, but you know, I am here ready to tackle the day. What can I help you with in real estate today? To me, that's like way cooler than, you know, how, you know, everyone tries to paint a rosy picture of everything. All right, let me continue here and then we'll just get thoughts for the last 10 minutes or so. And then in personal wellness, I do think there's a level of commitment, and this is different for everybody. I think without these things, at least for me, I tend to not do the things I know that I really need to do, like just take 15 minutes and do nothing. Like if I didn't have an actual to do nothing for 15 minutes, there's no way I would do it. But now I literally do the Abide meditation app for 15 minutes every day. And it's, you know, and my brain races through some of it sometimes, but that's like an actual daily non-negotiable that I've set for myself. And so without some of those daily non-negotiables, I think we just forget to do it. So this could be some ideas for you. I do like 10, 15 minutes of not crypto. So my rule is it can't be crypto, but some sort of personal development, like something that like is lifting me up, or you know, I can tell it I'm learning something, a new whatever. So and it doesn't have to be a book. It could be just a podcast or whatever. Um, Something around your biology. So eating well, drinking enough water. My big thing is sleep debt lately. I've been cheating my sleep. So I've got you know, an aura ring and I'm tracking that, and move your body, you know, so commit to whatever that looks like. Um, and then balance, you know, so meditation, journaling, some gratitude practice. I started using 5 Minute Journal again, the app. I love it. I think it is like the best. It reminds you of the beginning part of the day, the end part of the day, and you put pictures in there as well, you know, which I think is really cool. And then reviewing my goals and vision every day. That is another practice I started. Dan shared that with me. Dan Martell. Stacy and I are in this business coaching program together. And that was one of the things I took away from that I hadn't done in the longest time. And now you know, I have for my coaching business, I have it for my rev share business, and I'm actually reading them. I'm like, do I really want that? You know, like, do I actually want to do the work that's required there? And it allowed me to pivot pretty dramatically lately because I'm like, I don't know if I want that anymore, you know? And so you're not like, it's never set in stone, you know, what you're committing to. But then when you realize that, oh man, the daily work required to really get that is more than I can really handle right now, you know, so it might not be the season for that goal. So, awesome. Let me stop it there, and then we could add, you know, rev share in there. And rev share usually it's like actual conversations with agents. If there's one thing you can commit to, it's like a meaningful conversations per day, Monday through Friday, with real estate agents. You're not EXPing on them. You're just having like a person-to-person conversation about their life and their business. And yeah. All right, what thoughts? We've got 6 minutes left. What thoughts? What challenges? What takeaways? Oh,
I
and I
like
use the coolest
thinking.
app ever. Hold on one second. Tick Tick. I keep it all on Tick Tick. Tick. So they have like a habit tracker. It's the coolest thing ever. Plus, that's where I keep all my um like my personal stuff, my all the goals and vision, and I have a Vision 2027, and it has this thing. I don't use this as much, but it's an Eisenhower uh, matrix. You can put your to-dos in the urgent, important quadrant. So like the stuff that is like really important but not urgent, those are the things you actually should do. And we always do the urgent stuff that's not important. All right, Stacy, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to say, I like breaking it down into the different areas instead of just, maybe more of like a morning routine. This is more like, what I have to do for business and mindset and all those things. So I like that you broke it up and then kind of have the tracker for it, which is cool.
Awesome, awesome. Any other thoughts or challenges? Who's got challenges around some of this? Anyone? Silent. You guys got everything figured out. That's good. We can break 4 minutes early. How about you, John? What are your thoughts? Or Kevin?
Man, I always know like journaling is so important, and I probably got like 15 different kinds of journals that are like half started, but I just find that one a difficult one for me to anchor. So I might try this 5 minute journal on the app. I've never tried it that way. I can do that like before I put my phone down at night.
Yeah. It's really good. What do you got, Kevin?
Kind of going back to that guy that you met with, who was kind of running around, with his head, in the sand hiding from reality. The biggest thing that my challenge is, to avoid the shiny object syndrome. Literally, that is the thing that is always, we're always kind of going for immediate gratification, biologically, because we are evolutionary programmed to enjoy sugar, to enjoy full belly, yeah, because if you don't, you'll die, evolutionary, but we don't have to anymore. And that, ancient reptilian brain, if you want to call it that way, is preventing us from long-term thinking. That is really, I think, the biggest challenge that I think that kind of maybe my biggest takeaway from this conversation, especially when you mentioned that guy in the very beginning. So that just kind of, I struggle with that as well. I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah. And it was such a like profound moment for me. I'm like, dude, you are 27 years old. I'm like, I didn't even get into real estate until I was 33. And I said, what if it took you, 24 years until you were my age to achieve what I've achieved? But every year got a little bit better. Would it be worth the journey? Right. And I don't know that I got him bought into that one. He's like, no way do I want it. He's like, I want to be retired when I'm 35 or whatever. I'm like, why? Like, what do you think? You're just going to shut off when you're 35 or, so yeah, it was really a unique experience for me to see it in action, a guy that's like struggling immensely. And it's only because he's looking to skip. Like he wants to get to step 10 and he's skipping, skip steps 2 through 9. And I've done that in my physical body too, where I, forever, and just until the last couple of years, forever, I would just do 90 days hard. I'd lose the 25 pounds of fat. I'd get in super great shape. And then it would be 12 to 18 months of gaining back more weight. And then I push hard. I did that probably like 5 times, where like talk about one area of your life where it's just a consistency, like avoiding the sugar, you can't be in peak shape if your pantry is full of crap, all the distractions. And I feel like real estate agents are, I mean, maybe it's just every industry, but real estate agents are just like marketed to like crazy. Jenny on the block says, I think the biggest aha I've had recently is that doing nothing is boring. There is no yeah, exactly. And also doing the daily work, there's not a lot of enjoyment in that. And there's not a lot of fulfillment in it, really, unless you love real estate. If you love real estate and helping people, then God bless you. I was more attracted to like my future vision that made it easy to do the things. Even when it came to working out and staying healthy, I would just think of this as like super morbid, but I would think about my dad and his miserable death, the 5 years of dying a little bit more every day after a severe stroke. That was enough to be like, okay, it's 8:30, who cares? Go and work out, or don't eat, or whatever. So whatever it is, it could be like the carrot or the stick. A lot of people are, the carrot is, a vacation or a nicer house, or the stick is usually get out of debt, or you're not where you want to be financially. But I don't think there's an agent who's not struggling right now. What was the stat from the event, John, that Leo said? It's like still some crazy, crazy high percentage of agents haven't sold a home this year. It's like over 70% still. Last year it was 70. What was it, John?
73% last year sold one or no homes.
Yeah. And I don't see it pulling up yet. I mean, rates are up even from where they were, so we're not getting the relief on the rates. So there isn't this flood of, they were projecting 20% more units this year, but I'd be surprised if rates don't come down. I'd be surprised if it wasn't the same as last year. And that's 24 months of like completely not enough transactions to support the number of agents that are out there. And all you can control are just the daily things. And all the lead gen companies are still out there selling you leads that there's 20 times more leads sold than there are transactions. Yeah, 73 is one or less, which is crazy, crazy. All right, party people. So make some commitments around some daily things, and measure your success on the day around completing your daily non-negotiables, not on, what's the expression, AJ? I don't know if he came up with it, but marry the process, divorce the result. So, and if you haven't read the book Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield, it's a really good book. Kevin, that might be a good one for you. Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. It talks about that specific, like the pro just shows up no matter what. Won the Super Bowl, he's going to practice the next day. Lost the Super Bowl, last place, they're still showing up at a pro level and they're just doing the work every day. All right, party people, we'll see you next week. Be good.